It's 18 minutes past 5. I'm talking softly because I'm in the B&B. And look what's going on out there. It's tipping it with rain. What was meant today to be the best part of the route, Applecross Pass, is now looking less likely because it's not so much the rain that bothers me, it's the severe weather warnings. So instead of doing a 5-hour trip today, I'm going to be taking the direct route of 3 hours, I think. Play it safe. Well, that's just how things go sometimes. At least this will give me an excuse to come back up this way and do it properly another year. So it's going to be an adventure. But it's a nice place here. We're just 10 minutes or so outside of Ullapool, 12 minutes maybe. And I can see why people would come and retire up here. Definitely a beautiful place. And the people running the B&B, looks like they're growing all their own abundance of veg out there on their patio. I would set out really early, but my breakfast's not until 8, and I don't know if I'm going to get another square meal after that because I'm in a glamping pod tonight with minimum facilities, but I've got a little bit of beef jerky to tie me over. Alright, so I'm going to amuse myself for another couple of hours and then have my breakfast and hit the road, guys. Fun and games. Today, day 5 of my NC500 Odyssey, I was supposed to head south down the west coast from my starting point near Ullapool to meet the epic Applecross Pass, also known as Bialak Nabar. This is supposed to be the climax of the NC500 experience, and perhaps its most interesting road for a biker, so I'm told. Alas, it was not to be. Severe weather warnings were issued. My host at the B&B strongly warned me not to go, so I could not mess about. I needed to head directly to my accommodation in Kinlochleven. I had to press on. I had no accommodation for the night in Ullapool. All the no vacancies signs were on display everywhere, and I was simply too far north. I had to get back to normal life on a schedule eventually, so I braved the elements once more and rolled forward. Being forced to change plans en route was a chance to see new things not planned for as they presented themselves to me on the route. An enchanting waterfall beckoned, the Rogie Falls. I had learned from the last waterfall. I doused my clothes and head in insect repellent and put a balaclava on. The pests buzzed around me, but did not bother me this time. Full midge protection gear. Here we had a break in the weather and the sun actually got out. The wind, still somewhat unrelenting. Layers came off. I was tempted now to reconsider the apple cross, but something inside me told me not to. Later, I'd be very glad indeed to have made this choice, as the rain would once again come lashing down and the wind intensify. Meanwhile, a sign to the Gled Distillery by Singleton, a welcome detour I had not planned for, and so I seized the opportunity. With the original plan to do Applecross in tatters, an opportunity to meander somewhat whilst on my route had arisen.
Salmon made his morning speech upon the breakfast tray. Two cool princes crossed the Hamlet's bridge beneath the hills of clay. They came upon a candy man who waits to motivate his locomotive there. Who says, I must admit, I find you very strange, but still I must stay. Starfish and catalyst entwined, flow and breeze.
Happy-go-lucky and fancy-free, with the storm somewhere in the back of my mind still.
His words were designed to say, tell me more, do you want to praise the cane and say the mighty mountain's worldly desire?
The sun had come out, but before long the weather turned again for the worst. It was bound to happen. A felled tree blocking the road. I was amazed at how quickly the local tree surgeons had responded to the crisis. They made short work of the massive trunk, and soon enough the road was reopened. What a strange thing that this tree, likely 100 years old or more, had weathered so many storms in the past, yet this was the one to finally bring it down. A sad thing in a way, but such is the awesome force of nature. A reminder that my route on this day was precarious, even dangerous. What if a tree were to fall at the precise moment I was passing underneath it? Before long, the weather took a turn for the worst, as predicted. Back on went my rainproof windbreak. Rainproof? A bit of a joke really. This rain managed to soak through the windproof, my outer jacket, and my inner jacket. Also supposedly rainproof. Water was creeping in through sheer force of rain and wind intensity. We are spoiled silly for lochs here in Scotland, passing alongside some final lochs of this day. And the gale-force winds and rain were lashing at me with renewed vigour, trying their best to fell me down. Now and again I had to lean my bike against the winds to prevent falling. Don't cross any bridges if you can help it. The words of warning from last night's host at the B&B that I'd stayed at, ringing in my ears. Don't cross a bridge in the Highlands of Scotland. You may not get very far.
Let you go, wave on with me. Oh, raise a sleepy soul, wave on with me. No way. you're growing old. Prime time is what we all indulge on. Take it or leave. Prime time, a gem amongst the stone. Take it or leave. Prime time is what we all can own. Take it or leave. Wow, that's all I wanna say. Being brighter than the morning sunshine. Breeze is lighter than calling fine lines. Wave on with me, please. Wave on with me, please. Wave on with me, please. Take it or leave. Prime time when thought takes a rest. Take it or leave. Prime time is all the very best. Take it or leave. Wow, that's all I wanna say. Being bright in the morning sunshine. Breeze is lighter than calling fine lines. Wave on with me, please. Wave on with me, please. Wave on with me, please.
The descent into my final destination and resting point for the night mesmerised me with its jagged, wild beauty as the road twisted and turned and winded down alongside Lochbroom. Just in my glamping pod, folks. Just using this dryer to actually try and dry out my soaking wet biker gear. It's getting a bit hot in here. Anyhow, tomorrow I head down and cross the border back into England, where I'll spend one more night in the Lake District. So a little bit more of Scotland to go tomorrow. Weather again is predicted to be bad, but we'll see how we get on. So for now, after all the adventure of the day, the gale force winds and the rain, I'm going to grab myself some rest. Catch you on the next leg.